What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the RNC Night 3 recap for Making Podcasts Great Again. I am your tech stuff guy, Jay Nog, and we are here, of course, with the President of the United States of America. This president's been a very busy week. I just want to make a couple announcements, and I know you're very tired, but tomorrow.
No, I think you're tired. I have strong energy.
Okay, well, tomorrow you are doing something special for our Patreon Patriots. Tomorrow's episode at 11 p.m. Eastern will be
Let's be more specific, because tomorrow night, if you think I'm not going over my time, you're very wrong.
okay.
So let's just say 5 minutes. Okay? 5 minutes after I give my great speech.
So probably 1:30 in the morning.
1:45. It's when you're getting the prostitute in Uber, that we call that the prostitute hour, and that's when we're going to do our great Patreon chat.
Yes. So tomorrow night, 5 minutes after the president is done speaking.
Maybe 10. I like to take my time.
Okay, 5-10 minutes, whatever it is, we are going to be giving for the Patreon Patriots. We're going to give out the Zoom information. The first 98 people to enter the room can sit live with us. And Mr. President, if he's feeling up to it, might take some questions. So that is tomorrow night, 5 to 10 minutes. It's Thursday night.
As long as Tom, is that his name? Tom? We got like these, I think he's sort of the president of, was that his name? Was there a Tom who's always, he says, sir, he always asks me great questions.
He's a great patriot.
He might be sort of the Paul Revere of the Patreon Patriots.
Well, that's tomorrow night, everyone. 5 to 10 minutes after the president done speaking, around 11 to 1 a.m. That's Thursday. We will send out the Zoom information tomorrow. So you have time to become a Patreon Patriot. Also, reminder, Monday, the 31st, we'll be at the Stress Factory in New Jersey, stressfactory.com for tickets. There are still a few left, and we have a new website out. Check it out, mpgapod.com. Has merchandise, has all new videos on our YouTube page. Check that out, and all our episodes.
That is one of the worst sells of a great website that I've ever heard. The website is very powerful. There are T-shirts, so if you want to be, we need to come up with a different term, because the T-shirts are sort of the level up from Patreon Patriot. A T-shirt, a tremendous T-shirter.
We can figure out what a T-shirter for now. I'll give it to you, Mr. President.
With a hard R. And we're also looking into, a lot of people, as you saw, you actually finally did something right. You put the picture of the mask with people were very responsive.
Yes,
on
people
Instagram, and they were saying, I want one of those masks.
So we may make them available in the store.
We may have masks as well, because we want people to be safe and also to support their very strong podcast.
Now, safe is a very key word, Mr. President, and that just brings up our first story. A lot of African American people in this country are not feeling safe, and that is this violence happening all the time. Unarmed Black people being killed. Jacob Blake, a fine example, police officer. We don't even know who this man is. In Kenosha, Wisconsin, shot him 7 times in the back as he was getting into his car. He might have been fleeing or running away from the officer, whatever it is. He was unarmed. And also this week, yesterday, a 17-year-old, Kyle Rittenhouse, during the protests, had an AR-15 and killed 2 people. He was arrested, first-degree murder. It's craziness going on, Mr. President. What are your thoughts?
Well, the Democrats have created this sort of culture of chaos. It's a culture, that's what we're calling it, a culture of chaos. And this guy, what was his name, Rittenhouse?
Yes, Kyle Rittenhouse.
I like that name. It's a strong name, and it's sort of a bro name with also a lot of strength. Rittenhouse, it's sort of, tough, and I've heard that he's a supporter, so we welcome.
Yes,
we welcome the support.
He sat front row at one of your rallies in January, Mr. President.
Okay, so he's a patriot, and I think if I can, this is for people who've been listening to he kind of has sort of young Den Hollander energy.
That's horrible, Mr. President. This kid
Did you
is,
not remember the three? Wasn't that one of our great episodes? You weren't
yes,
here, but we had a previous tech stuff guy. The three, what was it called? The
champions of rights.
three champions of rights. You know what? You might have to make it four if I keep learning great things about this Kyle MAGA Rittenhouse.
The only rights he likes are actually Blue Lives Matter. He's a very big Blue Lives Matter fan, so he actually is fighting for police officers' rights. So he might qualify.
So, okay, so now we're talking the late, great Jeff Epstein, minority rights. Okay, loved. Obviously, everybody knows minorities is a combination of minors and titties. So he was a fan of minority rights. He was pushing that very strongly. Dan Hollander, one of our great martyrs of the men's right movement. John Lewis, who did some things, civil rights, not sort of a lower tier rights, but
I
still
think that's
we
the
give him.
most
But we no,
powerful.
excuse me. We give, well, I know powerful, and I don't think it was that powerful. But we're still giving credit. We're still giving strong credit. Okay, I'm including him. And then I think Kyle Rittenhouse is maybe police rights. And now, instead of three champions of rights, you've got a Mount Rushmore of rights. So now, what did he do again?
Are you kidding, Mr. President? He shot two protesters, killed them. He said he was protecting the police.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll have to hear the testimony. We'll see the evidence. But I think, who's going to, if you don't protect the police, who's going to protect our poor police, our poor, defenseless police?
I don't know how defenseless they are. They all have weapons, the police.
Okay, well, some weapons, but sometimes you need extra. It's called extra weapons. Well, we'll see. I don't want to take a side, and I don't want the PC libs to complain. We'll see what happens. There should be a trial, and I think they're going to look very strongly at his sort of pro-police work, and that he's maybe not such a bad, that he's a patriot. And we'll see. If he did something wrong, we want to know about it, and then you can deal with it then. But I don't want to make any judgments.
Mr. President, you think it would be poor taste to ask any of the listeners if they could make a Mount Rushmore of rights picture? Would that be poor taste?
I think it would be in such great taste. It would be like chocolate cake. That's how good taste it would be. Also, no, thank you. Don't do it.
No, I know. Mr. President, it's also a horrible hurricane. Hurricane Lauren coming in. It's supposed to be a Category 5, cause mass destruction.
Did you say Hurricane Lauren?
Laura.
I believe it's Laura.
Laura.
It's Laura. It's
Yes.
it's a nasty woman, probably a Dem, and she's attacking two great Trump states, Louisiana and Texas. So that's Laura is just, this is what nature does. Mother Nature is a very nasty woman, sort of ugly, and she's trying to destroy some of our greatest states. And we're gonna give them great support, as long as if the hurricane hits sort of certain areas of the state that are more, how should I put this? Work hard and play the game the right way.
Right.
Not if it hits the flashier, more showboat parts of the state, we'll have to see if maybe we don't spend as much money on the recovery. But if it hits the hardworking, fundamentals, scrappy, more like coaching and GM side of the sport, they're going to get our full support.
So you're trying to say that if maybe some of these victims lean left, they're not going to get the help that they deserve?
No, well, okay, you could say left as well.
Okay. It's
I'm
horrible that it's going to hit Louisiana again. They've been through enough with Katrina. I hope everything is fine.
Well, like I said, if it, we have a lot of parts of the state that we're concerned about, and if it hits the fast twitch areas of the states, we'll be very concerned. But if it hits sort of the, just solid average American with good fundamentals part of the state, then we'll have to help it out in any way we can. Strong help.
Mr. President, let's get into the RNC for tonight.
You would agree, worst night of the convention so far?
I'd say most boring for sure.
Well, boring is bad. There's no such thing as boring is good.
No, there's no good boring. No,
it's like math. Okay, always boring. There's nothing useful when a subject is so boring like math. There's no use for it.
Well, I could argue that there's some use for math, but
I bet you probably couldn't argue very strongly though. So I would say it was the worst night of the convention.
Well, how come you kept the convention going? Do you know the NBA playoffs? They didn't play any of the games, and actually the Clippers and Lakers came out and said they may not play any more playoffs and sit out the rest of the season because of all these tragedies happening and unarmed black people still getting killed up by the police, and something has to be done.
You know what I think?
Kept the RNC
you know what
going?
I think that is? I think I've been following the Dallas Mavericks. Do you know this team, the Dallas Mavericks?
Yes, Luka.
They have a person named Luka who is Transylvanian. He's from the same country as
Melania?
Mesothelioma, my wife.
Okay.
And he is a very talented, very white person. And he was, I heard an African American say he was giving them that work. That's what he said. I saw this person watching the highlights. So I think the Clippers, the LA Clippers, with many African American players, which is okay. It's not racist. It's totally fine if you want to have a lot of them on your basketball team. I think they're afraid of losing to a Transylvanian, because if Luka,
that's where you're coming from. You think they don't want to play?
If Luka Don wins, he comes to the White House, and all of a sudden, it's a Transylvanian party. We have the two greatest Transylvanians in it. We have my wife Madagascar, and we have Luka Don, and that's a lot of talent. And all of a sudden, the Clippers go, we need to protest because we're losing to the Transylvanians. So I think that's what was it. I don't know why LeBron is just a loudmouth. I think he's very upset that Crooked Hillary lost after he campaigned for her. But I think that they're afraid. I think they're using this as an excuse.
It's an interesting theory. I never thought of it that way.
None of the other teams want to quit. Now they may get pressure, okay, because a lot of people, they do the peer pressure in the NBA. One guy says it, and then everybody says, "Oh, okay, well, if
follow,
they'll follow." And it's, we need great leaders like Tom Brady. Okay.
Let's jump into your vice president's speech tonight. Besides,
you don't want to talk about Kayleigh McEnany's tits?
If you want to talk about her breasts, we can.
No, we don't have to. I thought that this is obviously you're new to the show. You're obviously new to the show, because when you have a blonde get up on national TV and praise me for calling her when she was getting her breasts done,
but they weren't
ask about that.
They weren't getting done. She was getting them removed.
And then getting new ones.
For breast cancer.
Right. Well, that's the science medical part. And then the fun part begins when you get to pick because sometimes God, with great faith, God he doesn't always get it right. And with Kayleigh, a lovely woman, she had a medical condition, and we had to take, they had to take care of it. But then I advised her very strongly. And that's why Ivanka, she said in the speech, Ivanka called her, and I called her. And it was, nobody is a better ambassador for augmentation than Ivanka. We call her the AA, the augmentation ambassador. I mean, you see the work. You see how well put together everything on her is. She's like the RoboCop of sex. We just put all the high-tech parts right on her, and it's a beautiful thing. As a father, I say this with great. it's called paternal love.
Of course.
But I had Ivanka talk to her first to try and talk her into going maybe with like a, you know, a classy G cup. Nothing too showy.
Yeah, obnoxious. No.
You know, nothing where you walk into a room and people think you're sort of an idiot. Like a classy G cup. And she ended up going with, I think, like a small C, and I almost didn't hire her because I thought that showed poor judgment. But she is a pretty little thing, and she is not quite the Sarah Huckabee type warrior. You know, who is there? You know,
I don't
Big
think
Huck. You
none.
know, Big Huck. There's no Big Huck. But in that next level below, you know, I think Kaylee deserves to be in that sort of next level, like a warrior, not a Huck level warrior, but a very strong MAGA princess. I would call her a MAGA princess, whereas Huck is just an all-out warrior.
Well, I'm sure she really appreciate those kind words.
Well, I've always said if Huck wasn't so unappealing to look at, I would definitely be boning on the reg, as they say.
Well, before we get
But
to
I say,
Penn
I
Section,
just want,
yes.
I didn't want us to skip Kaylee
Mhm.
McEnany's breasts out of respect for her.
We
Because that was
can't-
it was a nice speech she gave, and I wanted to, she didn't give the full context to why Ivanka and I were sort of calling her.
Well, we have two more pieces besides your vice president. We'll get to him last. We'll finish strong with him. There was only one Trump that spoke tonight. I thought that was very strange. Laura Trump, your new favorite son Eric's wife, spoke. What did you think of her speech?
Well, obviously, I wouldn't have watched it until what happened last night when Eric earned. That's how it's such a great family. It's very merit based. Once you become one of the top two kids, all the respect, the whole family gets the respect from that. So now that Don Jr. is on son probation.
Mm-hmm.
Eric, I said, oh, he's married. Look, and apparently he has two kids. So I said, oh, well, let's see what she looks like she works out. She's not the prettiest thing, but she's very well put together. And I thought she gave a very strong, Eric, the big Trump winners, other than me, obviously, and is introducing me tomorrow.
Of course, Ivanka.
Well, so that's sort of, that's when somebody asks who's the greatest basketball player of all time. And the answer is Michael. You have to say Michael Jordan, no matter how good anybody else is.
Mm-hmm.
Ivanka is the Jordan of, sexy, augmented, perky nippled daughters. But Eric is now, I think, sort of a solid number two. And his wife, I'd never heard the woman speak before. I heard her, she gave a nice talk. And I'm thinking that Don Jr. and his, insane Puerto Rican retard they may get bumped from even probationary status. They may be like exiled for 6 months.
Were they detoxing tonight? We didn't see them.
Well, Kim is in a treatment facility because there's a lot going on there. There's a lot that needs to be worked out. So I think I've been most impressed so far with Eric and his wife, Laura. I think they have, they've given two of the better speeches of the whole convention so far. And I think it's never too late to discover that your 38-year-old son is alive.
Well, you're a great father, Mr. President, I must say. Very observant, great father, loving, role model.
And powerful.
And powerful and strong.
No, not, I wouldn't, strength, you should, I don't know if you're a father, but if you don't want to use strength as a power is more what you want.
Okay.
You obviously don't know that, so.
No taken. There's one more thing I want to talk about before we get to your vice president, and that is I've noticed you've had a lot of African Americans speak at the RNC, and I don't usually see you hang out with many black people except Kanye. So, what's going on with so many black speakers?
Until the COVID hit, nobody had ever done more for African Americans in the history of the country. And I think there's more and more people who see that, and they see that Koala Bear Harris and Sleepy Joe Biden are very anti-black. They were very nasty and mean to the blacks. And I treat Negro Americans
It's
with great respect and honor and decency.
Did you say Negro Americans?
See, exactly. I'm using sort of a more respectful term.
It's not. That's not.
Well, no, I actually made a donation to the Negro College Fund, so now I know. That's. I don't think that if they can take my money at the Negro College Fund, then they can have me call them Negro Americans.
I guess so. That's a good point. Now, Mr. President, your Vice President, Mike Pence, spoke tonight for 3 hours and 16 minutes. Well, at least it felt like that.
That was a speech.
Now, I have a few questions I want to talk to you about. He promised a vaccine by the end of the year. Now, does that mean the vaccine will be invented by the end of the year and it will be ready to be distributed, or it will be distributed by the end of the year?
It's going to be. I think it's going to be a vaccine probably the day after Election Day if they elect me. Only if they elect me, though, because I tell you, they're not going to respect you if I'm not president. They're going to quit right then and there. Just like the generals always call me sir.
Right.
And they never called anybody sir. Nobody ever called the president sir until I got elected. And now everybody, even the generals, they almost look like they're going to cry, and because they're so proud of their country. And I think with our medical people, our medicine science, our science groups,
Right.
they're, the pharmacies, the pharmacies that make the drugs.
Pharmaceutical, is that what you're trying to say?
No, I don't think that's it. But the people who do the farms, the great farms, the patriot farmers.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
They're going to be so excited if I get reelected. They're going to get those drugs out the day after.
Is that farms with a PH or farms with an F?
You mean remember Fat Farm?
That's what I was saying. That?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was, I know the African American community very well.
You do.
FUBU. And then they...
You just shout clothing companies.
Carl Canny.
Cross Colors.
Who?
You don't remember Cross Colors as the president?
Who?
Okay, so what you're telling
me... I would never do that. I don't like it when the colors cross. I think that they would be so upset. They would destroy all their research. If I didn't win re-election, they would say, sir, we need you back in office, and I'm not doing the medicine things if Sleepy Joe is president.
So what you're telling me is that they're working so hard at a vaccine, and when you get reelected, the timing of you being reelected is
that pride,
that sort of
that pride and that strength and that respect. It just would overflow, and it would be gone totally if Sleepy Joe gets elected. They wouldn't even want to do medicine anymore.
They just throw everything out.
Throw it all out.
That makes sense. Your vice president did mention one of your new favorite things, convalescent plasma. He did mention that.
Plasma.
Plasma.
Don't know what that is.
It's not. What is it again?
It's called cognitive plasma.
Exactly. Well, he did mention that. I know that's one of your new.
Remember, it's the easy way to remember it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
When somebody has trouble breathing, they have asthma.
Right.
Okay, so plasma, it rhymes with What did I say it rhymes with?
Ozma.
Ozma.
Yes,
Bars.
exactly. So I have not met anyone with Ozma yet, but when I do meet them, I know exactly what it rhymes with now.
Unlike that movie, which is The Wizard of Oz.
Exactly. It's all coming together now. Now, Mike Pence, he headlined tonight, right? He was a headliner tonight. He
Sort of
closed it
a,
out.
off night headliner, like Wednesday, Sunday headliner.
Yeah, I have a some more questions about his speech. He called COVID-19 coronavirus. He did not call it any of your nicknames.
Well, he
Would you
tried
think he
to,
would?
but he tried to sneak it in. He said the coronavirus from China.
Right, but
So
he didn't use any of your nicknames.
well, we decided as a team. You should know. If I wanted to make him say it, he'd call it the Ching Chang Chong yellow fever if I ordered him to. So I could make him, but we agreed we weren't going to use the offensive names.
Hmm.
We agreed, and so he had my full support to call it the coronavirus.
He was bragging about the Space Force.
The Great Space Force.
I mean, no one really knows. It just was created. No one knows what it does or anything. I don't know why he would brag about it.
Well, they work mostly with contraceptive plasma.
I'm thinking they work in space, but who
No, but
knows?
there's a lot of contraceptive plasma in space.
So that's where we're getting the cure from. We're getting the cure from space.
No, but you have to get cures from many places, and sometimes the Space Force can be a good thing as well if they have experience with uh, you know cooperation plasma.
Exactly. He also made the point that women have had the right to vote for 100 years, and then for some reason made that to we have the lowest women unemployment rate. I don't usually when we talk about unemployment rate, it's usually you talk about black people giving jobs, but you
No, but
never.
you have to understand women vote more than men, and we've got to get the suburban women. The fake news says they're leaving us, so we have to make sure we keep the suburban women. And thanks to great things like OnlyFans, women employment is skyrocketing. We're doing so well through the apps. My wife. Um,
Melania,
oh,
your wife.
Mauritius. My
Yeah.
wife Mauritius is an OnlyFans ambassador. They used to have like UNICEF. Remember, they'd have like a hot chick like Alyssa Milano or Angelina Jolie be the UNICEF ambassador. We wanted to be more current, so Melatonin is the official ambassador for OnlyFans, and
Well,
it's creating
that's
many great jobs for many runaways.
well, that's very presidential of you. The last thing I wanted to go over with Mike Pence's speech, which was very strange, he said, "America is a land of miracles." I've never heard that before.
No, we have many. You have Miracle Whip. You have remember Miracle, the Miracle on Ice, the hockey when we beat the Russians, which is a nice thing. We had the Miracle on Ice. We have Miracle Whip. Um, we have Miracle Mile, which is something I don't know what it is, but I've heard it before.
I think it's like a shopping in Long Island, Miracle Mile.
Oh well, you know what? Great Long Island, great Trump country. Uh, no, we're doing very strong. We have many miracles. God sort of, I think, looked down on me and created a little bit of a miracle in 2016.
Possibly.
And, we returned with an economic miracle, the Trump economy.
If you were going to give Mike Pence a critique and score of his speech tonight before we leave, what notes would you give him, and what score would you give him out of 10?
Well, I do grades. I don't do out of 10.
Okay. What grades?
I would say that he speaks very clearly.
He
And
pauses a lot. He has lots of pregnant pauses for no reason.
yeah, I think he's a little. I've been using this word a lot since I learned it, but I think he's a little thirsty for applause.
Okay.
So he's always kind of very eager. He makes that he's almost like a puppet. He's sort of somewhere between a mannequin and a puppet, the way he sort of smirks and like tries to look very smart. But he said nice things about me, so that's obviously going to get you some points. And, he attacked Sleepy Joe a little bit. I'd like somebody who's a little just more charismatic, somebody with, he's Pence is not that talented. He follows orders and he's very loyal, and those are important qualities, but there's no charisma, there's no talent there. So I would say, if I were giving him a grade, I would give him a D, which would probably actually make him happy.
Mr. President, thank you so much for joining us after night 3. It's been
tremendous energy, and tomorrow, you better believe tomorrow I'm coming fully with the great Diet Coke powder.
Yes, you don't have any Diet Coke tonight. No Diet Coke tonight.
Well, I had to do some fake news appearances before this, so they would though he's got cocaine on his nose. That's not Diet Coke, and I didn't want that fake news during my convention.
I understand that, Mr. President.
You have my word. Excuse me, you have my word.
Yes.
For everybody who listens to this, I don't care how many people get shot, how many people die in the hurricane. Nothing is stopping me from giving a speech tomorrow. The president is not supposed to stop everything when hundreds or even thousands of citizens die. It's not what the president is supposed to go out there, ignore the bad news, and do a great speech. And that's what I'm going to do.
Well, we are all looking forward to the speech.
But prayers, thoughts and prayers for everybody.
Of course, thoughts and prayers. And that tomorrow, for any of the Patreon Patriots, you still have time to sign up before tomorrow evening. We will give out the Zoom info. We will send it to your Patreon account, and that will be 5 to 10 minutes after the president is done speaking tomorrow night. That is Thursday night. It will be around 11 to 11:30 Eastern Standard Time, I'm predicting, but it could be later. And also on Monday, the 31st, we have the Stress Factory in New Brunswick, New Jersey. StressFactory.com for tickets. We have a few left. And check out our new website, mpgapod.com. We have t-shirts, possibly masks coming soon. We have a new YouTube channel up where we have you can see clips that we don't put up in audiograms, us cracking up. It's a good time, and all our episodes are on there as well. Mr. President, any parting words?
Tomorrow night is going to be the greatest convention night, the greatest post-convention videos at youtube.com/JLCAUVIN, and the greatest coked up Q&A in the history of podcasting. So this is it. This is sort of one of the peaks of the Mapiga universe. So I don't know what else to say other than I'm going to go get a couple of hours sleep and start hate tweeting to get pumped for the speech.
Mr. President, you have a good night. And Mapigas, we will see you tomorrow night.
Don't tell me what kind of night to have.
Okay, my apologies.
It's rude.
Have a night of however you want it to have.
Well, I'm going to do that. I don't need you to tell me.
Well, I'm glad. Thank you. And good night, Mapigas.